Assalamu alaikum everyone, and peace be upon you. This is Marwa here, and I wanted to talk to you about visualization. So I recently posted about the importance of visualization and how this is a practice that I actually teach in my God and Me psycho-spiritual transformation program because of how powerful of a psychological and spiritual tool it is in helping shift our mind, our thoughts, our energy, but most importantly, our hearts in the direction of our goals and what we want to accomplish in life. And so being that it's the new year is coming up, and I know that this is a time where many of us are reflecting on the year that has passed and the year that is coming. And obviously this shouldn't be the only time we should be reflecting. The sense of muhasabah, the sense of accountability, is something that we should consistently practice in our lives. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us so many opportunities throughout the year. Every new day that He gives us, the beginning of every week, the beginning of every month, Ramadan, the new year, the Islamic calendar, all of these opportunities that we have to renew the lens of our heart, renew our mindset, and take better strides towards Him and towards the goals we want to accomplish. But alhamdulillah, we have the new year coming up, and we should still take advantage of this opportunity to sit and reflect on the year that has passed and the goals that we want to make in life, the goals that we really in the depth of our hearts want to accomplish but may have not done so far. And so what I want to share with you in this video is the power and the importance of visualizations for the goals that you want to achieve. Visualization is something that I not only know its power because I teach it, but it's something that I know its power because I've applied it in my life in the past, and I've seen its power, and I continue to try to practice it as much as I can because I believe it's something that is rooted in our faith as well. And I'm going to talk to you about how I'm going to talk to you about the power of visualization within a psychological context, but also within a spiritual context. Let's talk about visualization within a psychological context. So what I like to do, and a big part of my work is rooted in this, is taking concepts and topics in the psychology world, in the self-help world, in the psychotherapy world that have value, and filter them through an Islamic psychological lens, through a spiritual lens, so that they do not just serve our mental and emotional wellness, but they serve our spiritual wellness, our spiritual path, our path back to God, so that they make God the destination and not our egos and not ourselves. And this is really the essence of my work, because I find that there are a lot of harms that come from just absorbing what we see to be popular without evaluating their relevance and their importance to what we hold to be of utmost importance, which is our Creator, which is our path to Him, which is our deen, our faith, our spirituality, right? And so with visualization, it's a topic that I definitely found has a lot of psychological value, but I found that it was very limited. There was a big emphasis on the mind, on the, on the brain. And this is part of the Western, philosophy of approaching our psycho-spiritual system, is that the mind is given so much power and the heart is looked at as this frivolous kind of lesser part of us, right? But everything that I teach is centered in my heart over mind and ego approach, which essentially prioritizes the heart. That the heart is the most sacred part within us, and actually true change, true transformation does not come until the heart has a connection to what the mind has absorbed. And so it's very important to It's very important to discuss visualization with the emphasis on the heart. So visualization within a psychological context is basically the practice or the process of generating imagery and images associated with what you want to accomplish. So it's about envisioning. What is a vision, right? When you have a vision of something, your eye captures an image of that, of what your vision is looking at, right? So, imagery is so powerful for the mind. The more that you can generate an image that's associated with a goal that you want to accomplish, the more that you are propelled towards that goal. But in reality, what makes it so powerful is that when you treat your mind as there to serve this most important part within you, then the prioritization is that my heart needs to be connected to this image. And so that's the power of visualization, is that the more you visualize, the more you reflect on what you hope to accomplish and what that looks like, the more that your heart will have a connection to that goal as well. And the more likely you will be able to accomplish that goal. Because remember, true transformation only happens when the heart has a connection to what we are hoping to do, to what our mind knows we should do, to all the information we have stored. You have on a mental level, I have a goal. But if your heart is not connected to that goal, to that knowledge in your mind, it's not likely that you're going to accomplish it. The heart needs to be a priority. And so when you visualize something, you have a vision of that thing. So you think of a goal for yourself, and you think of what that goal would look like. You think of how you would feel. You think of how you would act. How would I look like? How would I behave? How would I interact differently? You think of the benefits you're going to receive from that goal, and what would that look like? So you're really deepening your connection to the goal that you want to accomplish, which is so necessary, because many of us set out to set goals for ourselves without connection to them. We have not connected to our intention. We have not connected to why we even want to accomplish that goal, what we're hoping to receive. And so when we don't deepen that connection to why we're doing something and what we're hoping to receive from that thing, the more likely we will be disconnected from the goal. And this is why many of us set New Year's resolution, and within a month or 2 months, we're disconnected from them, and we forgot all about them. And we go on with our lives as if we never made those resolutions, and it's because we lost our connection to them. Visualization within psychological context is the process of your mind being so connected to an image that it sends messages to the rest of your body, to the rest of you, that propels you to go forward, that propels you to act in line with that image. And so the emphasis here is that the mind is so powerful, and the mind is a powerful tool. The mind is so powerful that the more that you think, that's why subhanAllah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Hadith Qudsi, I am what my servant thinks of me, right? That your thoughts are so powerful. And so we have to take care of our thoughts. We have to take care of our mind. And emphasizing the heart does not negate the power of the mind. But we have to remember that, at the end of the day, the heart connecting to what the mind knows is more important. So, this mind thinking about these images and reflecting on the images that are associated with our goals, it propels it to send messages to the rest of us that are in line with that goal, that are consistent with us accomplishing that goal. And they have studied the power of visualization in so many different areas, with so many different people working towards diverse goals. They have shown visualization to be powerful in people losing weight and fitness goals, and people even visualizing their own personal goals, career goals, all different kinds of goals. That the more that people practice visualization, the more that they found themselves acting in a way that is in line and in service of that goal. Now let's take into account the heart. I talked before about how in psychology says that the mind begins sending messages to the rest of us when we keep visualizing our goal. But what we cannot forget is the most important part of us that needs to receive that message from the mind is the heart. And if the heart is not connected to that message, we will not act. Our true transformation will not be lasting. So we need to engage in visualization that our heart has a connection to, so that as we sit and we think of the images and we think of what we want to accomplish, that we are present with our heart, that our heart, it's not just a mental experience, that our heart is being connected to that process as well. Which brings me to visualization within a spiritual context. When I was exploring visualization, it kept drawing me back, kept linking me back to the Quran, because all I could think of is how much detail Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us in the Quran, especially when it comes to our ultimate goal. We are talking about goals here, right? And I said earlier, we cannot just talk about things in service of our psychological wellness. We have to talk about these topics in service of our spiritual wellness, who we are in essence, our soul. We are souls. We are not human beings having a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings. We are souls having a human experience. The human experience is temporary. So we have to talk about our goals throughout the human experience, but we cannot place them over as more important than our spiritual goals, right? That the spiritual part of us is the part that transcends the human experience. So as I'm talking to you about visualization, I cannot talk to you about it just in service of our mental and emotional wellness. I have to talk to you about it in service of our not just in service of our, the personal goals and our goals that we want to accomplish in this world. I have to talk to you about it in service of our ultimate goal, our existential goal, our spiritual goal. The ultimate goal of meeting Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a good state, returning back to Him with a sound heart, with a whole heart, returning back to Him in a state that will allow us to enter Jannah. And so when I would explore visualization, it kept linking me back to the Quran, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks to us, gives us so much detail about our path, and especially about the next reality, about the hereafter, about Jannah, about heaven, about what He holds for us there. So much imagery about how He decorates heaven for us, about, and even subhanAllah in this world, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He created the earth for us, right? There's so much detail that He gives us. But we see this world, right? But we don't see the next world. So He gives us so much detail about the next world, so that we can imagine. Why imagine? So that we can have an image that's associated with that ultimate goal. Why? Because visualization is so important. And the more that we visualize that ultimate goal, the more that our goals in our human experience will begin to be in service of that goal. So with that, I would like to encourage you and to remind myself and you to engage in visualization that begins with visualizing your ultimate goal. How many of us take time to sit with the verses of the Quran that give us details about Jannah, about our ultimate goal? We know on a mental level, we say this, right? That yes, my ultimate goal is Jannah. That's like the generic answer we give when anyone asks us what our goals are, right? Like, what are your goals? Oh, Jannah, right? We know it, and I'm not minimizing it at all. But sometimes we're so programmed to saying these things that we forget to really assess our connection to them. And assess, when the last time was that we really sat and connected to them. So I am encouraging myself and you, as the new year is coming, to sit and visualize, to engage in visualization consistently on a daily basis, even if it's just 5 minutes a day. But begin with visualizing Jannah. Begin with visualizing you returning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you standing in front of Him. Take a verse at a time, 2 verses at a time, that give you a description of Jannah, and sit with it, reflect upon it. Don't just read and close the Quran. Sit with it, reflect, think, be present with it. Imagine. And if you have trouble with it in the beginning, that's okay. It's very common, and this is something that I find when I one of the exercises that I do in the H.O.M.E program with students is a visualization board. It's very common for students to struggle when it comes to creating a visualization board and doing the visualization if it's not something we're used to, and especially in the world that we live in, where we're constantly distracted. Our mind is the king, and we're pulled in different directions. It becomes very hard for us to prioritize our heart, to be present, and to visualize. But sit with it, be patient with yourself, and as you spend 5 minutes each day taking a verse or 2 verses and reflecting on Jannah and reflecting on your ultimate goal, then afterwards think about your human experience. Think about how you want to maximize your human experience, and think about the goals you want to accomplish. Think about if they're in line with your ultimate goal, and if they're in line with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and spend time thinking of what that goal would look like, and what spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, holistic benefits you would gain from them. I really encourage you to do this. It will have immense value. With that, I would like to give you one final reminder about setting goals, and that is to focus on making consistent habits. We're talking about visualization and engaging in visualization daily, right? And so a lot of us tend to approach goals in the sense of, like, we make these big goals and we set resolutions, and again, like I said, we lose that connection to it because we're not connected to what we're really gaining. But it's also important to approach goals in smaller I guess in smaller strides, in the sense that the focus should be on what are some habits that I can engage in daily or weekly, as opposed to this is the goal and this is what I want to accomplish, and not really thinking about what are the habits that are going to change. And so change is very much about the habits that we change on a day-to-day basis. So after you visualize and after you think about these goals that you want to accomplish, and after you have that connection to it, it's important to think about what are the habits you're going to change, consistently. So instead of thinking about, in a just thinking about your goal in just the bigger sense, like a resolution kind of sense, think about it in a day-to-day sense. Okay, so if I want to accomplish this goal and I want to receive all these benefits I visualize, okay, what are some of the things that I can do daily to reach my goal? And visualization will help you do that, because the more you visualize, the more you'll find yourself acting in a way that's serving your goal. But it's also important for us to reflect about these changes, because we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves the actions that are consistent, small and consistent, right? And this is really such a powerful teaching, is that because the habits the actions that really make long-lasting changes are the ones that we don't just do once and then that's it. They're the ones that we do, even if it's in a small way, but consistently, right? So as you reflect on, what kind of person you want to be, and you reflect on the changes you want to make, and you reflect on your ultimate goal, then I encourage myself and you to think about what are the habits we're going to change to show up for those goals that we said we wanted to make, to show up for that person that we said or we envisioned ourselves to become. With that, I thank you for your time. I hope that this is beneficial. And if you're interested in learning about some of my other tools, check out my God and Me program. This is my most long-term, holistic, comprehensive program that really takes you on a psychological and spiritual journey to transforming your relationship with God and your relationship with yourself, as you learn these psychological and spiritual tools that can help you renew the lens in which you've been viewing your path, your struggles, yourself, and your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because it is my true and deep belief that if we can change our relationship with ourselves and our relationship with our Creator, and we can learn to lead and prioritize this most important part within us, that it changes, it just has a ripple effect on everything else in our life, and we will see positive changes as a result of us turning inward and focusing on these internal changes. So if you want more information about that, you can go to thehomeinstitute.org and check out the God and Me program, and I will also put the link in my bio, inshallah, and in the post. Jazakumullah khair. Thank you for your time, and I pray that this new year is a beneficial, empowering, and transformative year for all of us, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and on all levels. Wassalamu alaikum.